My name is Justin Heck, and I lead research and data production at Opportunity at Work, a nonprofit focused on building a skills-based labor market. Public debate about AI and work has focused almost entirely on whether jobs will be augmented or automated. Far less attention has gone to how AI will reshape economic mobility. That's what I want to talk about today. Workers build skills in one job and use them in the next. In aggregate, these moves form pathways. We analyzed 130 million job transitions over 10 years and found three kinds of jobs: entry-level origin jobs, higher wage destination jobs, and in between, the stepping stones we call gateway jobs. 60 million Americans work in gateway jobs, and 62% of them are stars, workers skilled through alternative routes who've built their skills through work, military service, apprenticeships, training programs, or community college, rather than a bachelor's degree. Consider a customer service representative. Workers reach that job from roles like receptionist or cashier. And on the job, handling frustrated customers, finding solutions under pressure. They build critical thinking, speaking, and persuasion that prepare them for the better paying HR or sales job that comes next. AI can break that stepping stone function in two key ways. The first is straightforward. There may be fewer of these jobs. Among the 10 largest occupations with high AI task exposure, half are gateway roles. And the Bureau of Labor Statistics projects declining demand for all 5. That cuts both ways. A cashier or receptionist loses the next rung up, and employers may find fewer experienced workers ready to move up into management or senior roles. The second is less obvious, and it may matter more. AI can hollow out a gateway job from the inside by eliminating what a worker learns from doing it. If that customer service rep spends their time overseeing a chatbot rather than handling the hard calls directly, they lose the opportunity to develop the skills that would have carried them to the next rung. The learning that happens on the job often happens through the hard parts. AI is exceptionally good at removing the hard parts. This can happen without anyone deciding to do it. Learning has historically been the byproduct of getting work done, not the objective. A company that automates the demanding parts of jobs may see short-term efficiency gains while inadvertently dismantling the pipeline that produces its own future supervisors and managers. Displacement debates miss this. A worker whose job is eliminated knows it immediately. A worker whose learning has been quietly removed from the job may not find out for years until they apply for the next job and discover they no longer qualify. None of this is inevitable. AI can augment work rather than hollow it out, but whether AI narrows pathways or strengthens them depends on how the technology is deployed and on the choices before this subcommittee. Congress can act in 3 ways. First, build a skills-based labor market. When pathways get disrupted, workers need their capabilities recognized wherever those capabilities were built. The Federal Jobs for STARS Act would embed skills-based hiring in federal employment, while the Skills-Based Federal Contracting Act would do the same for federal contractors. Second, treat investment in workers the way we treat investment in machines. Employers can more easily write off an AI system, robot, or server than they can the cost of training workers to use the same technology. If we want employers to choose augmentation, the tax code should not be telling them the machine is the cheaper bet. Third, fund what works and measure what's actually happening. The Better Jobs Through Evidence and Innovation Act would fund proven programs. Reauthorizing WIOA with adequate funding would give the system we already have the resources we need to meet this moment. And the AI Workforce Prepare Act is a meaningful step toward the data we need, including data to see how AI is reshaping jobs and the pathways that run through them. I'll close with this. AI presents enormous opportunities. But as it reshapes jobs, it will reshape the skills that workers build and the pathways available to them. If we do this without intention, we lose more than jobs. We lose the routes people use to move up and the talent employers need at the other end. That's a choice, not a forecast. Thank you. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you to each of you. Good opening statements. We will now move on to questioning. I retain my time for later, and I will yield 5 minutes for questions to Senator Marshall.
All right, thank you, Chairman. I'll let you all answer the same question here, and I'm looking for a 30 to 45-second answer so all of you can do it. I'm a big fan of community colleges, technical colleges. So let's just assume that there's a significant number of people, probably data entry type of people, that are going to lose their jobs to AI, and they're going to need to go back and get some more training. They've already got a bachelor's degree, right? I don't think they need to get necessarily another. What advice would you have for community colleges, technical colleges, to help quickly retrain these people and pivot back in? And Mr. Clark, we'll just start with you, and you know, two or three things that you think would be helpful. Maybe there's something you would say, what we shouldn't do is okay with me as well.
Yeah, thank you, Senator. Happy to answer. For community college, the key here is Workforce Pell is going to be a huge part of the answer.
What a good
the
idea.
Investments that are going to be made in Workforce Pell. In Indiana, we've now worked out Workforce Pell and have the opportunity for our community college, both Ivy Tech and Vincennes University in Indiana, to be able to skill up. That's going to be a big part. The university has to respond, that community college has to respond with the right training, and so they're still working on that, but that would be my number one.
Great answer too, by the way. Ms. Rogers?
Thank you, Senator. And good question. You know, how do we retrain them when they're displaced? Over the past 50 to 75 years, Congress has enacted significant legislation to help displaced workers find jobs. I am glad that we're going to be looking at that again, and I would argue that each state already has employment projections. Part of the bill is to enhance those projections. I'm one of the people that argues we can enhance it with more information around wage records. But I would encourage people in my state, for example, to look to the state of Indiana's already existing top jobs platform that helps show people within regions close to where they live which jobs are in highest demand and have a high wage. But we've set it up, and there's a group of people who have worked on this, so that you can kind of ratchet it based on the capabilities of the person, right? So they may only have a high school degree, look for the jobs that are high wage, high demand for those skills, and then work with them to increase it.
Thank you. Doctor, go ahead. I'm not even going to try your last name.
Don't worry. I will mention what my co-panelist over here mentioned, which was in my written testimony. I think there is a very interesting, overlooked, low-hanging fruit solution reform, which is that Congress could restore tax neutrality between investing in machines and investing in people. Since the tax code currently makes it easier to deduct the cost of automation equipment or any other capital investment, that's easier to deduct than the cost of training workers to use that equipment or that capital. And I think that is one way to help incentivize firms, and a market-based solution way to help incentivize firms to also train in workers as well.
Thank you. Mr. Liebert?
Thank you, Senator. So I agree with much that's been said up here, so I'll add a couple of things that haven't been mentioned yet. One, I think you're bringing up a very good question, because we need to utilize the existing infrastructure that's already in place. And so I think that that's absolutely critical. So utilizing the community college system, whether it's a Chamber of Commerce or BBB or any of those organizations that are already there,